What's going on, guys? Welcome back to NolanTCG, and we are back here today for another deck profile, and this time it's for Amazement Altergeist. So I've been considering checking this out, given that I've really enjoyed Amazement as a package, and I like what it can do in the current meta, given that like a lot of decks don't necessarily handle a Book of Moon or two coming their way very well. That I've really been looking to splash it into other things, and I figured let's give Altergeist a shot, given that Altergeist already has one multi-faker. What if we give it two? Could be good. Who knows, Open Imperm, Faker, Arlecchino could be a very, very good combo going second. And yeah, we'll get into a bit of a profile for this one. But before we do get started, as always, please remember to drop down below and hit that subscribe button if you are new here, because we are always happy to have new people to the channel. And let's get on into this deck profile. Before we do get started on this one, though, it is brought to you, of course, by yourplaymat.com, who got us our beautiful NolanTCG Extra Deck sleeves. These are available on yourplaymat.com, as well as you can get custom sleeves and custom playmats, so whatever you need for the current format. There is an affiliate link in the description down below that does get you a little bit of a discount on your order. Also, enter the code NOLAN10YP for 10% off your order. Also kicks back a little bit to the channel, so everything will be very much appreciated. If you're shopping there, you're getting custom sleeves, custom playmats down. Make sure to enter our code at checkout. But let's get on into this deck profile. Okay, so starting us off, of course, we have the 3 copies of Multi-Faker. So we've got Multi-Faker 1, Multi-Faker 2, and Multi-Faker 3. I haven't experimented with this all too much since this came back to 3 off the ban list. I played it for a little bit, and then I always have like this weird issue whenever I'm playing Altergeist where I completely forget my protocol interactions. And I'm just like, oh yeah, cool, no, this deck's bad. But you know, deck's actually pretty decent. But yeah, 3 Faker, it's ultra consistent at 3. Hopefully you're going to be resolving traps, resolving your Faker, and winning games. Then we have the Meluseek, attacks directly, gets the send, you link it off, it gets the search. 3 copies of Marionetta after that. I wouldn't say Faker again. Imagine playing 6 Faker, even though we are. We've got 3 copies of Marionetta. Your primary normal summon gets you to set those Altergeist traps from deck. Remember, you cannot set personal spoofing. It's not an Altergeist card, is it? Then after that, we've got just 2 copies of Silk. It's all that's necessary. You don't need to play this at 3. Playing it at 1 is probably not enough. So 2 copies of Silk, of course, gets you that bounce every turn. You want to be using that Silk bounce, really controlling your matchup, linking off when you need to, and then just getting it back as you go. And then finally, the last of the Altergeist monsters, it is 1 Altergeist Conquery. You're just using this to protect yourself and keep yourself alive. Just kind of get yourself to the next turn. Hopefully you can turn the game around if you're in a bit of a bad state. Then after that, we move into our Amazement package. So we're just playing the 3 copies of Arlecchino. I say 3, just playing 3, but you are playing 3 of the best Amazement card, not administrator card, although it is a pretty good administrator. I'm on a ramble here. But yeah, we're playing 3 of this. Playing 2 is perfectly fine, but I feel as though you want to see it in a deck like this. Like, the more heavy trap lineup and control you play, the more Arlecchino you want to play, because then you want to see it. You don't want to play it in some decks where you maybe won't see a trap and you play 2. You want to play it at 3 because you always want to have it in your hand. Then, after that, we've got 3 copies of Ash Blossom as our primary hand trap for the deck. As always, switch this for anything you'd like. The other hand trap we're playing, Impermanence, that one probably can't be switched, because you kind of need it in this deck to really, really hammer home some advantage. Then for our spells, we've got 3 copies of Pot of Prosperity, and then the 1 copy of Duality. You can consider a 2-2 ratio, or possibly playing Extravs over the Prosperities. The Prosperity is not super necessary. Half the time I feel as though Extrav is correct in the build, because you want to see 2 cards. You don't really care what 2 cards they are, you just want to see 2 of them. However, the Prosp does let you pick and choose, and if you're already ahead on advantage, you want to get a card that can help you win the game. So that's it for our spells and monsters, so now we'll get into our trap lineups. Of course, that is started off with 3 copies of Personal Spoofing. Just gets you those shuffles, gets you the searches, resolve your Faker, good times. 2 copies of Protocol come after that, so using the Protocol just to kind of get those activations and protect your Altergeist effects. Negate those activations, sorry. And of course, get the protection. And then we play 1 copy of Manifestation. Typically, you're going to try and loop this anyway, so you don't need to play it at multiple copies. I definitely would recommend playing this at 3. 2 is fine, but at the moment I'm just playing 1. So that's it for our Altergeist spells and trap cards. So next off, we have the 3 copies of Impermanence. Probably the best trap in the deck to draw in your opening hand, because you want to be able to interact with the opponent, resolve either your Faker or your Arlecchino, summon them to the board, and then control even further. Then we get into our other traps. So our Amazement trap comes first. So that's 3 copies of Amaze Attraction Horror House. That's all we're playing. Because you are playing the multiple copies of Arlecchino, it is pretty common that you will hard draw one of these with one of those. So you can equip it to your Arlecchino, and then it just becomes a negate, which is always perfectly fine. Negates are good in Yu-Gi-Oh! Of course, the second effect is the Book of Moon. That's what you're going to be equipping to your opponent's monsters from deck when they summon with the Arlecchino. Then after this, we've got 3 copies of Ice Dragon's Prison. This is again just a flex trap. You can switch this for whatever you'd like and whatever's good for your local meta. 2 copies of Solemn Strike, follow up that. And then 1 copy of Imperial Order. I do need to find my my nice Imperial Orders. I've lost them, and I have no idea where I've put them. Well, that'll be it for the main deck. I don't know where we're going here. Let's go to the extra deck. Okay, starting us off for our extra deck, we of course have 3 copies of Altergeist Texia, so just your stock standard, tribute what it points to, negate spell or trap card, or effect. Can negate the effect of a spell or trap card. So yeah, this is just here at 3, you really don't want to run out of this. You can push for game with it as well because it gains the attack of whatever it points to. I don't believe that is original attack as well. It does gain the original attack of each Altergeist monster it points to, which kind of sucks. So you just can, if you go Hexdeer, Hexdeer, and then goes to 3k. I swear that used to be ruled differently. Maybe it was one of those cards like Manifestation that was written differently. Then this card's perfectly cuttable next. It's 1 Prime Banshee. I just can't keep it in here because it can kind of come up every now and then, so who knows. It is pretty rare that I use it, but there are a lot of stuff in here that is pretty rare that I actually use it. Then for our Link 1s, these can just all be Link Karibos. I've decided to go for a bit of variance, so we've got 1 copy of Link Karibo, 1 copy of Relinquished Anima, again just the same thing, gets your level 1 off board, your Meluseek, and then that will then slurp up if your opponent's not been paying attention to their zones, and you take the monster it points to. Then we have 1 El Mirage, and then 1 Artemis is what I've taken in after this, because all of them are spellcasters, if I'm not correct. Let's double check that before I start saying it. Yeah, they all are spellcasters. So they can all link into the Artemis if you do ever need to do that. I don't know where that would possibly come up. Could potentially be when you're trying to make a Ningirsu, or you're trying to make like Crusadia Avramax. I said that really weird. Avramax, that's coming up later. But yeah, 1 Artemis is just here for that kind of purpose. Then after that, we've got 1 copy of Nightmare Phoenix for clearing spell and traps, and 1 copy of Unicorn for the shuffle. Then we've got 1 copy of Ningirsu. It just is your typical out for Dragoon, so you kind of need to play it. Then you've got 2 copies of Selene after this, because it transitions very well into your Link 4s. And those Link 4s are 1 Mech Knight Crusadia Avramax, and 1 Access Code Talker. Okay, that will wrap us up for the deck profile for this one. So as always, if you do have any recommendations or things you would change, do make sure to comment them down below. Keep an eye on the channel over the course of the next few weeks or so. Lockdown's just been extended here in Sydney for the next month, so odds on we will be firing up the Quarantine Cup again. So do keep an eye on that. We're just kind of working through the nuts and bolts of it at the moment, and figuring out what it's going to look like going forward. But as always, I've been Ben from NolanTCG, and have a good afternoon, everybody.